Hi guys, so today's video I'm going to give you a list of all the books that I am planning on buddy reading in 2020. I'm planning on doing it a little bit with a twist and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a great way to connect with you, but also get to kind of share a slightly different perspective on the books that I'm going to be reading. I want to elaborate on that first and then I'll get into the books because I have each book for each month already picked out, but I want to kind of go into detail about my plan for the buddy reads for this year because I think it's just going to be so much fun. So the way that I'm planning on doing it this year is my husband and I both like to read, but we tend to read different stuff, which is always really fun, but occasionally we'll both be interested in the same book, or there'll be a book we hear about and it piques our interest and we think we should read that. So what we want to do this next year is take books that we both want to read. We are going to buddy read those books, and we're going to probably film vlog clips here and there where we are not going to talk about the books in person with one another the entire time that we're reading them, which is very unusual for us because we're almost always talking about the stuff we're reading to each other. But we're not going to talk about the book at all. But we are going to film our thoughts within vlogs and things like that, our individual thoughts. He's going to edit his own footage, I'm going to edit my footage, and we're not going to watch each other's clips. But this way, you all, if you're reading alongside us, or even if you're not and you're just interested in this book or you've read it and you want to see our thoughts, you'll get to see two totally either different perspectives, really similar perspectives, or maybe he and I will pick out things from the book that are exactly the same and it'll be amusing in that way. Maybe one of us will hate it, one of us will love it. Whatever the case may be, I thought this would be so funny for all of you because it's like you're in on a little inside joke and you also get to see somebody else's perspective. And I just think that at the end of the month, when we do finally come together and film a review or chat sort of video for it, it'll be funny because that'll be the moment that we get to finally see what the other thought of it, and then you guys get to see on camera us discovering if it was exactly the same or different or somewhere in between. I've always been a little nervous about my husband coming onto my channel just because the internet can be stupid. You guys have been so lovely and sweet and supportive of whenever he comes on, and because he often has different tastes, it's really nice for those of you who read outside of fantasy, because that's primarily what I read. It's fun for you to get to see his side of things or get introduced to things that you hadn't heard about. Maybe the rest of BookTube doesn't really talk about very much because he does tend to read different stuff than what a lot of BookTube gets into. So I just think this is going to be so much fun. And it's also going to be set up where you all have the opportunity to read alongside us. Like I said, I'm going to give you the list of books we're planning on reading for the whole year. That way you can try to reserve it at your library, try to reserve the audiobook, whatever the case may be. If you want to purchase it for yourself, you'll have the time to do that. I am going to be partnering with an app that's a buddy reading focused app, and they're not sponsoring this video, but I am going to be partnering with them for pretty much the whole year. And I kind of wanted to give you a rundown on that sponsorship, that partnership, because I know a lot of times people are very hesitant when they hear about sponsorships because they are wondering, well, is this really genuine or is the person just doing it to try to get money or try to get stuff? And I completely understand that. Anytime I've ever mentioned anything, any entity that I've worked with, I always tell you whether I'm getting anything out of it or not. I will get more into the app in my TBR video. That way you can kind of get a better rundown of it. But to sum it up, it is essentially a buddy reading app that is kind of like Goodreads, but it's less focused on the rating of books and it's more focused on conversations around books, connecting people through books so you can find people reading the same book as you at the same time, or you can have a read shelf and you can talk to people about the books they've read that you want to read or that you've also read, those sorts of things. So it's very community focused. I have had this plan to do this year-long buddy read thing with my husband for a while, and when this company, either Byzance is the name, when they reached out to me and were interested in partnering with me, I am actually the one that asked if they would be interested in doing a partnership throughout the year. So I'm the one that's wanting to do a long-term thing. And the reason I think it's important to state that is because I think a lot of times when people are doing sponsorships, they will have a link to follow if you want to make a purchase for a product or if you want to sign up for a service, that sort of thing. And that link often determines whether the sponsoring company wants to work with the person again. How much interest is this causing for the people watching the video or seeing the post, that sort of thing. And in this case, the reason I think it's so important to say that I'm going to be working with them throughout the whole year and that it was me who initiated it is because that lets you all know that it literally doesn't matter if you sign up for the app or not. I checked the app out before I agreed to partner with them, of course, and I think it seems really, really cool. I like actually conversing. It's why I still do dedicated book reviews and things like that, dedicated non-spoiler and spoiler chunks in a lot of my reviews. So I really like this app. I'm going to be talking about it whenever I do TBRs. So I wanted to give you the heads up, and I also want you to know, yes, I'm partnering with them, but it's something that I'm really excited about, and it's something that it doesn't really matter if you guys join or not, because it was me who was interested in promoting them throughout the year because I think it seems like a great app. One more thing I'd like to mention about this app is that when communicating with them and when telling them this is what I'm interested in doing, if you are interested in working with me for the year, I also told them there's this other buddy reading website called Caravan because I worked with Caravan in the past, and Caravan was also great to work with, and I really enjoyed getting to talk to them and the amount of people. I was like, oh, I can't really even spend that much time talking to you guys because so many of you signed up for, when I did the Store My Archive Buddy Read, that there was supposed to be a limit to how many people could join. And I had to email them and be like, can you lift that? Because so many people want to join. So they had to make it be there was limitless. So, as many people could join as they wanted. So I was so happy that you guys were so interested. And Caravan, I really appreciated that they have this website that they use primarily Discord through in order to create this environment for people to discuss books in. And when I was talking to Byzans, I said, I am probably still going to link Caravan because I always want to provide as many resources as possible for people who are interested in doing these sorts of buddy reads. Is that going to be okay? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. Thanks for letting us know. So that right there shows me they really do care about the service that they're providing, which is helping people connect. They're not just out there to create a monopoly and be the only thing that people go to for buddy reads. So that made me feel really good about working with them. Okay, finally getting into the books that I'm going to be reading this year. I recently asked you guys over on Instagram if there's any kind of videos that you are interested in seeing. And some of you were saying, oh, it'd be really cool to see what books you're wanting to read that maybe are a little different than you normally read. And also a few of you wanted to see about having my husband on more often. I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell you guys about these buddy reads because it's kind of a combination of these things. A lot of what we're going to be reading is not necessarily fantasy. It's a lot of historical fiction that I've been wanting to get a lot more into, and that is what it's going to be for the very first month. The very first month, it's All the Light We Cannot See. For February, we have two that we might be reading together. One of them is Geekerella, which that one is kind of a fun, silly one because February is Valentine's Day, and it's supposed to be this cutesy, geeky little love story, so we're going to pick that up, and we're also going to pick up kind of the opposite of that. We're planning on picking up Vengeful, which is the sequel to Vicious. February is kind of the exception month because we're not really picking up cutesy contemporaries or sequels, so February is a little bit different. But the rest of the year is primarily historical fiction with a couple other things sprinkled in. I have it all written down, so I'm just going to read them off to you. And then if you are interested in any of these, you can plan ahead. So in March, we're going to be looking at The Night Circus. In April, we're going to be reading The Book Thief. In May, we're going to be picking up Rage of Dragons. In June, we're going to be picking up The Last Kingdom. In July, we're going to be picking up Sailor Moon, which I'm really excited about. It's so silly, but we've been watching the anime. It was my favorite anime as a kid. I loved it so much, and it's so guilty pleasure for me. It's so nostalgic, and I eat it up. And my husband's been watching it for the first time, and he thinks it's hilarious. So we're gonna read the manga in the summer. In August, it's my husband's birthday month. So this one is one that he has read something else by this author and found it to be really fun. And so he's hoping that this one will be really fun as well, and that would be Bandits. August is technically my friend Joshana's birthday as well. I like to read books that my friends like for their birthdays, and since I'm already reading one for my husband, because in August it's his birthday, in September is when we're going to read the one that Deshauna likes, and that would be City of Girls. This is one that it's a format where a woman is kind of telling you about her life story, but she's telling it to a younger woman, and apparently it's hilarious. My husband, when he watched Deshauna's review for the book, he's like, that sounds super funny. So we both are interested in picking this up. It's kind of like our happy birthday present to Deshauna. In October, we're going to pick up The Nightingale. When I mentioned standalones that I want to read this year, a lot of you, I said, what's a book that will make us cry, will make me cry, because I don't really cry when I read books, so I'm like, give me suggestions that'll make me cry, and so many of you said The Nightingale. So my husband looked at the synopsis and he's like, that does look really sad. And so of course, that's a buzzword for us, is sad. So you guys sold us on it. We're gonna pick that one up. In November, we are planning on reading Salt to the Sea. And in December, we are picking up Between Shades of Grey. I believe this one got a title change, which I don't know that I've ever heard about happening, but it's something like Ashes in the Snow or something like that, I believe. But that was the original name, was Between Shades of Grey. Those are the books that we are planning on reading in 2020. It's a little bit different for me, but I have been wanting to read more historical fiction. I have been wanting to read a little bit outside of fantasy, because almost always when I do, I end up enjoying the books, and it's nice to keep me excited about fantasy, because like with anything, you kind of want it in moderation. If you get way too much of it, you get overloaded and overwhelmed, and sometimes it's just not as fun. So by having these other things mixed in, hopefully it'll make me a little more well-rounded. I'm really excited to do here's what he thinks, here's what I think, and then we come together at the end, but you guys know all along. I just think it's gonna be so fun. Definitely let me know if you are going to be joining us for any of these. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.